is going on, everybody? It's your boy Sonny here, coming at you guys with another Neverwinter video. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be covering Neverwinter 2019 year as a whole, give you guys my thoughts, opinions, the good, the bad, kind of everything in one whole video, just talking about, you know, the state of the game and everything, because 2019 is about to come to an end. 2020 is approaching in 2-3 weeks, honestly. So I figured I'd just do a recap of 2019. And yeah, you know, nothing crazy going on in the background, so you can just listen, you know, put it on, because it's going to probably be a little bit longer video, because I'm going to go through in depth as much as I can about each mod and give you guys my thoughts and everything, as well as feedback from what I've heard from people. So if you're new around here, honestly, hit the like, subscribe, notifications, leave comments down below what you guys think at the end of the video, and everything as a whole. You know, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them, so let me know. Anyway, we're just going to jump into it straight. I wasn't going to include the Heart of Fire, but I went to go ahead and did anyway, just due to the fact is it says it released November 6th, 2018. Now I'm not sure if that's PC or is that console, because I couldn't find a console release date for some reason. I was having problems with it, so I'm going to assume that these are all PC release dates, and the Heart of Fire came from us in 2019. But anyway, this added the Acquisition Incorporated. Now, as you guys can see, your boy Sonny didn't complete this. Honestly, this is when I took a break from Neverwinter, because I really wasn't excited for this update. Not even going to sit here and lie. It didn't really bring much that piqued my interest. The overhaul to professions wasn't a big deal for me. I don't even do professions. I never was a profession guy. I was never into Mastercraft. You know, so for this, I keep saying it. Come on, Sonny, spit the fuck out. It didn't really do nothing for me. So maybe for those of you who did enjoy it, look at that, I'm level 70 in jewel crafting. You know, you can make the consumables, but honestly, I can buy them cheap on the market, so that's not really a big deal. And also the introduction of the many coins bank heist. Now I've heard a lot of different things. I've only ran it once and I don't even have it unlocked, but it is in there, one of these rotations here, the skirmish, I believe. Yeah, wait, yeah, it's in the skirmish. I've actually ran it like twice, and honestly it's boring. It's small, it's simple. You're just kind of in a small circle in a small room, and there's 4 hallways and whatever, and you just got to protect it. It's nothing crazy. I don't even count that as a dungeon, and neither do they. They got it under a skirmish, and it's not even a level 70 skirmish at that. So that's how, not 70. Yeah, what level is that? It's not even level 70. It's literally for 64 plus. So that's where they rank that at. So all in all, I feel for me, the Heart of Fire was a little bit of a letdown. You know, the boons, I don't really need the 4 extra boons here. You know, they gave you that free rank 14 Heart of Fire, so that's one of the good things. So, you know, in terms of like overall, I think it could have been better. I think it was a little bit of a letdown. And like I said, this is when I did take a break from the game, because I was disappointed with this. I wasn't big in professions. You know, maybe some of you out there are and could let me know, how did that help? Was it a good overhaul towards professions? Because honestly, I can't speak on that, but I can speak on pretty much the rest of the stuff. You know, I've done a couple missions. It's pretty much the same thing. Like, the missions are repeatable. They're boring. That's why I have no incentivized to even finish it, really. You know, sometimes I'll go over there and get the acorns needed, but it's kind of boring. Like, the one mission is you gather eggs, the one is you mine shit, and then you fight. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, but for me it was boring, because it's literally just repeatable quest over and over. From where I was at, you know, I'm pretty sure that's could be said about other mods too, but you know, we're talking about this mod in general. So other than that, it really didn't come much with a punch. And yeah, overall, for my opinion, I'd say this was a letdown. Okay, and from a couple people I've also talked about, it was a letdown for them as well. If you guys did enjoy this mod for some reason, you know, let me know why in the comments. Like I said, it did give you that free rank 14. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And 4 new boons, but you know, where I'm at right now, I don't even need any more boon points, so they would just be kind of useless. I'm sure I get item level, but honestly, I don't even care about item level. But other than that, we're gonna move on to Undermountain. So, like I said, all in all, Acquisitions Incorporated, big letdown. Undermountain, okay? This is where things really ramped up, and this is where Neverwinter kind of took that big leap from the old system of combat and everything that. So I'm just gonna go real quick. Level was increased to 80. Added the Undermountain campaign. Added 5 new adventure zones: Yawning Portal, Catacombs, Twisted Caverns, Bollywood, Terminus, and Doom. I probably butchered some of those. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. I'm terrible with names. All 8 classes receive various levels and balancing adjustments. Each class was renamed to align with the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons, redesigned companion systems, and rewards overhaul. Yeah, so let's go break that down. The level capped to 80. Okay, a lot of people were worried about this because 60 to 70 was a bitch. There's no other way to put around it. You had to farm giants in order to get to level 70. So for those of you who did not have to endure that, you got lucky because it was ridiculous. They did a terrible job with it. That's why a lot of people were scared, because you literally, even if you did, Spinward Rise and the Fiery Pit, I believe, and all that shit, it wasn't enough XP to get you level 70. So it was just a hassle. The XP you got was, so small. You would have, the only way you would get to level 80, level 70 is buying booster packs. And at the end of the day, even that didn't, I bought a couple, and even then it still felt tedious and grindy, and just, oh, you just want to rip your freaking, you just want to stop playing. Honestly, a lot of people I know stopped playing because of that 60 to 70 jump was just too much for them. But with this 70 to 80 jump, it is a hell of a lot better. They made it probably a little too easy, I think, but too easy, I guess, is better than too hard. So people can't complain about it being too hard, maybe because you can get to level 80 and get through everything before hitting level 80 easily. If you got boons, the XP you get from killing people, you got the Azures and utility slots. There's multiple ways to get extra experience. You don't even need a double XP anymore to hit level 80 within a matter of a couple days. Added the Undermountain campaign. We're going to talk about that real quick. Nothing crazy. I mean, there was a couple bones in here. I gotta grab my keys today. The introduction of the store. The globe set is really good for tanks, so I like the addition of this. The Wyron is pretty good buff. So all in all, in terms of the new addition of the equipment and the store itself, it's a pretty overall good store. The sets in here are not that bad. The mirror plated, like I said, is good for tanks, and the Wyvern was good for a damage buff to your party. So you can't, there's not really much to talk about in the store. You can get your keys for your Loom and Tom. So overall, I'd say the campaign as a whole wasn't that bad. It was refreshing. It wasn't tedious, in my opinion. It was easy, so I enjoyed it. The new zones, for me, I'm not really big on zones. Aesthetically, they looked alright. They were easy to traverse, which was pretty good, as long as you had at least an epic mount plus. And for me, I have a legendary, so they're easy to traverse with the boon mount. They had the heroic encounters to get your me stuff. Also, the introduction of me's. It doesn't say it on here, but yeah, that's another thing. My thoughts on me's is they're alright. Where the game currently is, which I'm not going to talk about yet, but in terms of when this first released, I enjoyed it. It was something new. It was refreshing. It gave you RNG to get a new weapon set at the time that was good, new equipment that was good. All that good stuff came from the Mii's. Of course, you can only do 3 a day, so that was one of the downsides, but I guess that prevented people from just farming it and getting everything in one day. But overall, the Mii's at that time were pretty nice addition to the game, I can't lie. So I enjoyed the Mii aspect. I enjoyed the campaign. This mod, for what it's worth, right, I enjoyed it. The new companion system, where they got rid of the striker, I believe was the right call. Honestly, I prefer the augment companion over the striker. I feel it gives I feel like that's what they wanted to do in the beginning of the game, because that's how it was in the beginning. Augment was better. Then they switched it over to the bondings, and then now it's back to, augment. And I feel that's where they should stay with it, honestly. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on that. And then the name rechanging, I don't really care. I mean, that is what it is. You can't. I mean, you don't see the name, right? There's nowhere you go that you see that your name changed unless you're making a new tune, honestly. So for me, it doesn't matter. I still say Great Weapon Fighter, CW or DC. I still say the old names, and you're not wrong. It's just they aligned it with the new shit now to where it's just Barbarian, Cleric, Wizard, Ranger. What's the Paladin? Oh, Paladin now. And then am I missing one? It's just the Rogue, I think, or something like that. So it's not big changes, nothing to really complain about. I just want to make sure that I go over pretty much everything for the Undermountain and cover all of it. So, if I did miss something, I apologize, because I'm just kind of going off the top of my noggin, and it has been a while since this shit actually released. But overall, I'd say, and then the new edition of Loom. How can I forget that? Loom was a good dungeon for what it's worth. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It gave you a little challenge. I wouldn't say once you figured it out, it was easy. You could speed run it, but in the beginning, it is a little challenging. Now it's, like I said, I don't want to talk about that now, because back when it first came out, it was a little challenging. You need the right group in order to beat it. Not just any pub group can go in there and expect to beat it. You needed solid DPS. You needed a good healer. So that was pretty interesting to me. I enjoy difficult, but not like pulling your hair out difficult, or just stupid difficult, like CR difficult, where you're just dying constantly. So that was a big jump for me from the previous Castle Ravenloft, and that was a joke. But I feel like overall Undermountain as a whole, right, was a good thing. A lot of people complained about the class updates, and changing the name and then changing the style of the feats and everything. I don't have a problem with it necessarily. Yes, it limits your play style, I guess you can say, or choices, but honestly, the same thing could be said about the previous method. If you wanted to do DPS, there was only one way still at the end of the day. If you wanted to tank, there was still only one way at the end of the day. If you wanted to heal, there was one way at the end of the day. So for me, it was like, it just made it simplified it. Of course, with any update, there was a couple issues with classes. Of course, now the C dubs and all that got a huge buff. A lot of people say the Barbarians took a back seat because they introduced the tank role. But I don't have a problem with that, honestly. I feel they did a solid job for what it's worth. And at the time, I feel like they did a okay job with what time they give and how much of an update it truthfully was, because changing the way you play the classes is a pretty big task in itself, I'm pretty sure. I couldn't do it. A lot of you out there probably couldn't do it. So for what it's worth, I feel like they did an okay job at what they had, and they made updates to compensate for all that, and it has taken them a while, but Rome was built in a day, so things don't happen overnight, believe me, unless it's the stock market. Then it could change in an instant. But like I said, overall, Undermountain, I'd give it a thumbs up, truthfully. Heart of the Fire, thumbs down. Undermountain, thumbs up. Now, Uprising, this is where I have another problem with this, right? As a module, I feel it was lackluster for me. I've made videos, impressions, and all that, and for me, it was just to call it a full module was disappointing. And I've heard that from a lot of different people that I've talked to. This should have just been like one of those things where you put in between the mod releases. Truthfully, like to say this was a mod as a whole is a joke, in my opinion. They came up with a new playable race that's cool, but it's not best in slot, and it doesn't compare to the best in slot races. People would just use it just for the aesthetics, and because it's new. A new PvP map and a new 10-man endgame trial, and a fashion system overhaul. I do enjoy the fashion system overhaul, but like I said, to me, that's not worth the whole module, right? So I can't complain about the fashion overhaul because I do enjoy it, but to put that in itself as a mod as a whole is kind of a joke, along with the new PvP maps, right? You know, adding maps to PvP, I don't feel is that hard, and like I said, that shouldn't have been a whole module, right? Like they should do they moving forward. Neverwinter should put stuff like this in between the module release dates. You know, this was mod. What are we on? I don't even know. What are we on? 17, 18? I think we're on mod 17 now. So for me, this was like 16.5. You know, this was half a mod because yeah, 18. We're going on 18. This is 17. 16 was under mount. Okay, so Uprising, truthfully, was 16.5. But to make it as a whole mod is a joke. You know, the new tomb, I've honestly never completed it yet. I wasted millions of AD to get ready for it because of the difficulty, and I just think that dungeon, you know, probably now I see there's people beating it. You know, there's more rings, the artifacts are cheap, everything's cheaper, so I know people are beating it and people are figuring it out. It was just a matter of time. But just for me, I just feel overall, you know, if people, you know, I've seen people 13, 15-minute running it, so that just goes to show you that it's not hard, but at the same time, to say that that is an end game that was worth a whole mod is another aspect of it. It's not. It honestly wasn't worth the whole mod. Like I've said, I don't even run it no more. You know, it's not even to me a fun dungeon. It's kind of tedious, in my opinion. It's a little boring. You know, the mechanics, once you get it, that's it. You got it, right? So, you know, on that part, if some of you do like it, let me know in the comments. But just for me as a whole, I don't really care for it that much. It's like one of those things where, all right, it's fun for a little bit, but then it's just like, okay, move on, right? You know, I'm just buying whatever I need from the dungeon. Like, you know, it's starting to get cheaper now. And so I've never personally ran it, and I have the gear at a reasonable price now. So the gear is only going to get cheaper from here on out. So truthfully, you don't even need to run it to get the stuff from it. You know, the only thing you can get is the weapon set. That apparently right now is BIS, but I'm fine with the burnished. You know, I'm cool with it. I'm not going to stress getting in there anymore. If I get in there one day with a carry, I get in there. If I don't, it is what it is. You know, I don't look for groups. So, Uprising, oh, let me talk about Wheeze and Fees, okay? It's just an extension of Mies. So, it was literally just copied and pasted. They just changed the names. So that was a little bit of a joke to me. They didn't change anything except you didn't collect relics, which I guess made it easier, but it's still, you know, you had Mies, Wheeze, and then Fees. And then that, at this point right now, the Me, Wee, and Fee combo was just getting ridiculous. It was getting annoying. At some points I was just like, I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm getting tired of running Bees. I'm getting tired of running Fees. I'm getting tired of running Wheeze. And I was just putting my head up like, damn, bro, it's yeah. So overall, Uprising as a whole, even still to this day, honestly my first impressions don't change that much. I still think it's a little bit of a disappointment. To call it a mod as a whole is a joke, truthfully, and my answer still hasn't changed. There is some good, like I said, there is some bad. You know, the good is they came out with a new 10-man trial and the new fashion overhaul, but the bad is it's pretty much the Wheeze and Fees are copy and paste. The zones you go to get the missions are just copy and pasted. There's no new. So the only addition is the new Tomb Dungeon. Everything else was just copied and pasted. I mean, sure, the new Solace place is aesthetically pleasing, but it's so limited that you can't even go really that far. Like, they have that awesome thing in the background, right? But it's just, you're just contained to that small confinement space. And honestly, once you're done with doing your tomb, I don't even see the purpose of going back over there unless you enjoy running Wheeze and Fees. Other than that, there's no point, right? So now that I broke down kind of the 3 mods that released this year, I'm going to give you guys my whole. So like I said, 2019 as a whole, right, taking everything into consideration, I feel truthfully was a letdown in my opinion. It was a lot of the same thing. It was a lot of, it was a, it's hard to explain, right? Because after a certain point, you just were running the same thing. Even right now, to this day of recording, it is December 6th, right? And I'll probably upload this video tomorrow on the 7th, or sometime. I'm not sure when, but whenever it goes up, you'll be watching it, and then future viewers. 2019 as a whole was a little bit of a letdown for me. There wasn't really much that, caught my eye or made me want to play Neverwinter, if that makes sense to you. I would come on and play because it was new, but it's not something that I got excited for, truthfully. Like, I didn't get excited for Loom. I didn't get excited for Tomb. If anything, Tomb, I lost millions of AD, so I'm extra salty about that. The new playable race. I've never even used them. I don't really like the way it looks. If anything, a new class would have been better, honestly. The overhaul to the classes, I guess, is the big thing that is a little up in the air for me. I enjoy it now. It's alright. I manage it. I got over myself, and I do fine with it. I can't speak on all the other classes because I only play really on the Barbarian. But I know Scourge Warlock still are in the back seat. There's a couple classes out there. A couple people I know didn't really like it because it's limited, but I feel at the same time, it is what it is. You learn to deal with things, and that's one of the things I learned to deal with. But in terms of right now, you're still doing the same thing. There's nothing new. I try to do my me sometimes when I feel like it. I'll do the Qs sometimes when I feel like now. I'm at the point where I play when I just feel like it, if that makes sense. I don't come on and say, man, I'm gonna play Neverwinter today. I come on, I get my key, I pray. If I see people posting something, I'll jump in it real quick, but I don't stay on it all day or even for hours like I've used to, because there's no reason to. I'm just tired of doing the same thing, looking at the same thing, and you just get annoyed at that point, truthfully. So mod 18 is coming in 2020. That's still a little bit of ways because I think it's only on preview now. It's not even officially released, and then 2 to 3 months later console will get it. So it's going to be a while before we see another mod, and truthfully, the wait is going to be long. Like, us console players really have to endure a couple extra months of just monotonous shit, truthfully. We're going to have to keep doing our looms, we're going to have to keep doing the tombs. Now people are doing CODG more because it's stupidly easy, you can't even fall off. But honestly, I think 2019 as a whole was just, like I said, it had its goods, right? But I feel it had more bads than goods, so it outweighs it. So 2019 as a whole was bad for Neverwinter, I feel. A lot of it was just copied and pasted. I feel a lot of it was rushed, truthfully. Like, they could have waited. To call Uprising a mod in itself is a joke, and it still is a joke. So we have to endure another couple months from when I'm making this video, which is in December of 2019. We still have to deal with a couple months before we get mod 18, and that's a long time, truthfully. Like I said, they really need to incorporate like the mod Uprising, incorporate that in between the module releases, so you're not tired out. Honestly, if you're playing right now and you played, if you played through all these modules and just, you're a daily player or whatever, maybe the casual player who comes on once in a while is not bored. But if you come on Neverwinter, like this is one of your go-to games, you're bored. I mean, from what I've heard from people, they're bored. They are honestly bored of the game, right? Because you're doing the same thing now. There's only so much you can do. There's not enough content in between the module releases, and the modules themselves aren't big enough. They don't provide enough content. So if they're not going to put more content into the module releases, or give us more in between the module releases, this is going to be a problem for the foreseeable future, because it's just going to be the same thing. And truthfully, I was watching the one live stream, and they asked, would they introduce more dungeons? And well, they said, well, that's going to take away from the campaign. So it's just like, Yeah, I know a lot of people like the campaign aspect, but for me, once you do the campaign, that's it, right? I truthfully want to see more dungeons, so it gives you a variety of dungeons that actually matter. Let me put the emphasis on that. Dungeons that actually matter, that could actually give you high tier rewards that actually mean something. Not just don't take old dungeons and raise the level cap, right? I want new, fresh dungeons, right? I want some damn fucking dragons as bosses again. Dungeons and Dragons, and we only have a couple, places where you can even kill dragons, right? They really need to emphasize on, the roots of a Dungeons and Dragon game, which is dungeons. I don't mind spending like 40 minutes in a dungeon as long as it's keeping my attention, right? Maybe that's what they need to do. Just extend the dungeon length, right? You know, not that I particularly care, for the speedrunners, but out there. But make a dungeon where it's a typical D&D style, where it takes you 40 minutes, but you're still engaged in the dungeon, and the rewards are actually worth it, right? Because you can't make a 40-minute dungeon and give you ass rewards. There's going to be no point in running it, right? So I think Neverwinter in 2020 really needs to step up their shit, okay? Because right now, you can't be blind to it. The game is at a decline. Honestly, I play. I'm on every day, and it's. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. It gets harder and harder sometimes to get groups together, and all throughout the day. And I'm posting in the zone chat. Maybe in your alliance it's differently, but as just a person who just comes on and just tries to go groups together, sometimes it takes a minute for some reason. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm running, whether it be the epic queue, the trial queue. No problem getting in me groups, because there's always those people who like me's, but trying to run dungeons is a little bit more tedious to get people together. From my personal experience, like I said, everybody's going to be different, but I can just see the game as a whole is starting. There's not as many people posting groups, there's not as many people looking for groups. So at the end of the day, you gotta look. You can't be blind to that. The lack of, the amount of players playing the game is at a decline. It's at a decline, right? So they really need to come with it. They really have to in the next year. They have to do a better job with the modules. They can't release no more uprisings. They can't release no more Heart of the Fires, dude. They really can't. They have to come with it. They have to. I want big modules, right? And content in between the module releases, so you're not bored, right? Say you release a module on January and the next module is 6 months away, or whatever you want to do, right? So do 3, and then do January, right? And then let's say you want to release a new mod a couple months away. Well, before you release that, in between that time gap, at the halfway mark, release like just something. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be a full-on mod. Just something that adds content to the game, right? And I think that's one of the big problems here. I know at the end of the day they can only do so much, but if you honestly want if you want the player base to continue, you're going to have to make some changes, because you can't keep releasing these modules and expect people just to keep dealing with it. Because even at the end of the day, I'm getting kind of a little bored on it. There is other games out there right now that are killing it. That I enjoy playing more than Neverwinter, and it's been a while since I've said that. Neverwinter has been one of those games where I can play and be like, man, I can play this for a while, but right as it stands right now, I can't play Neverwinter for hours like I used to. I just can't. You just get bored, and that's not something you want out of a Dungeons and Dragons game. So I don't think I want to. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I feel like I've been talking here long enough. Truthfully, I want to know your guys' opinion on 2019 as a whole, Neverwinter as a whole. I want to hear you guys' feedback. Let me know what you guys thought. Maybe if I missed anything, or you feel I'm completely wrong. I don't really care. Let me know. It's been your boy Sonny here, and as always, I will catch you guys out on the next one.